crisis at the US bank JP Morgan has escalated over the past few days. After it emerged, its trading losses in London could rise to as much as $5 billion. The sum is disputed at the moment. That's far more than Chief Executive Jamie Dimon thought when he admitted these losses. That was on May the 10th. The bank has also had to cancel a share buyback. Chris Roebuck is a banking expert at Cass Business School, joins me now from London Stock Exchange. I say that sum is pretty disputed. No one seems to know. Are we any closer, do you think, to some kind of resolution on this, or have we still got a long way to go?
Well, I think it's like unravelling a piece of string. Until you get to the end of it, you don't know how long it is. And that's the problem that JP Morgan has, and they don't want to come out of it quickly. But what is interesting, as the sort of financial tale unravels, the sort of leadership and risk tale is also unraveling in quite an interesting way. Because what we have here is a fairly common scenario, which is it appears that this particular group of people, because they were inside the corporate headquarters, were to some degree not subject to the level of supervision that many people out in the constituent businesses were. And we see this in a number of organisations where those in the corporate centre have more flexibility. The problem with that is that if they are doing things wrong, it means that they can continue to do things wrong until those things blow up in their faces.
But in the end, doesn't the buck stop with Jamie Dimon? Do you think his position is vulnerable?
To some degree, people have to attribute blame. Certainly for that particular team to have moved ahead with those trades, the strategy must have been agreed by Jamie Dimon. But then again, the question is, can you hold him responsible for, as he described, errors, bad judgment and sloppiness? I think the key point here is that there were a number of circumstances in this particular team. The fact that they weren't subject to the level of supervision as other parts of the business, the fact that the head of the team was away for a while and things just rolled. And I suspect it's the classic example of people being allowed to get away with small things and then those things building up into something that becomes a disaster. And to be blunt, that's not just banks. I mean, that's what happened in Gulf of Mexico. That's what happened at Bhopal. That's what happened in Houston. That's what happened in the sinking of the ship in Italy.
Chris, very, very briefly, I've only got a couple of seconds. Do you think this is going to have a wider effect on the way people regulate the banking sector?
Yes, people will call for wider regulation, but this is really a leadership issue inside the bank so that the chief executive knows what's going on in his own bank. OK, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much indeed. Chris Roebuck there. Let's have a look at the markets now.